Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be looking at Hisuian Arcanine for the Regulation D format. So basically this is another tier 3 sub request to the channel where you, the viewer, can request a team building session with me, and what we're going to do here is show you just exactly the squad that we came up with during the session. So they were interested in using Hisuian Arcanine, okay, which is totally fine. All right, and again, anytime you're trying to use like a Hisuian variant, the first thing you want to do is pair it side by side with like the original variant and see like how what kind of advantages it can give you and what kind of disadvantages it has versus like the original. Like, is it better? What kind of niche does it have versus the other one? You know, and so on and so forth, right? Because sometimes the Hisuian variant is completely different from the original variant, and then that'll also affect in terms of how you play it. Okay, so yeah, so basically here we have Hisuian Arcanine, we have regular Arcanine, so they both have Intimidate, which is of course very good. This one has Flash Fire, you know, Arcanine also gets access to Flash Fire. This one also has Justify, which is another way to play it, whereas this one has Rock Head, so you don't take recoil from, you know, things that may give you recoil for something like, you know, Rock Smash. No, it's called Head Smash, I believe, right? Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, it's Head Smash, okay? But ideally, the best way that people have been using Arcanine has been the Intimidate variant. And, you know, just like off the top of the stats, like if you just compare the two, regular Arcanine base 110 attack, you know, Hisuian 115 attack, right? So right away, this is a little bit more offensive. And then at the same time, the speed, this is about 5 less speed than the regular Arcanine. So a little bit slower, okay, but it hits harder, okay, which is expected. In terms of bulk, 95 HP, 80 a piece in the bulk. This one is just 90 HP, but also 80 in defense and special defense. So very similar bulk, all right? You know, but of course the main difference here is the typing, right? So fire rock typing versus something like just mono fire here. So, you know, you're still weak to water and you're still weak to ground, but now you're 4 times weak to those things. But at the same time, now you get access to rock moves, whereas this one does not get access to rock moves, which is in a way interesting, right? Because now you have something that can deal, you know, big damage into things that are flying type. So, or also things that are ice type. So if you just imagine things like Dragonite, and then Shenpao, okay, wow, I can't really type, and then something like Tornadus and some other genie not named Landorus. So like the rock damage is actually really good against these three, which is why Hisuian Arcanine has kind of found a niche in the Regulation D format. It has some good results, which we're going to talk about in a second, but this is the main advantage that you have like over the regular Arcanine. And I think because you have a bigger attack stat, you know, 115 is, you know, 5 more base attack is actually relatively significant. This allows you to play it a little bit more offensive. Whereas this Arcanine, you kind of use it a little bit more in a supportive way, okay? And I feel like the mainstay in terms of like the 3 attacks you want to run on this Arcanine is you're still going to run Flare Blitz and you're still going to be using Extreme Speed, right? And Extreme Speed is going to be hitting harder as opposed to this Arcanine using it. And now you get access to Rock Slide. And this, I believe, is always like a mainstay no matter what kind of set you have. And then this coverage move is really just your flex slot. It really just depends on you and the rest of your team in terms of like what do you need in terms of coverage, you know, just to have something there, okay? But overall, I feel like this is the 3. And the item itself, like you could play it a couple ways. I've seen something like Choice Band do relatively well with something like Shenpao, okay? Let me just remove the regular Arcanine out of the way. And then I've also seen something like Safety Goggles, just like the regular Arcanine. And then you can just opt for something like Will-O-Wisp still, you know, just to be able to cripple some attackers. I've also seen something like Assault Vest, where now you're just going to rely on your bulk, especially on the special defense side, and then just go for like an extra coverage move here. In terms of like, you know, you can see like Close Combat is another good one. Bulldoze is a great move, you know, for speed control. I've also seen something like, here you can also do Head Smash if you want. Helping Hand is still pretty good, but again, not an Assault Vest set. But I've also seen what's that thing called? I saw it here. I've seen Stone Edge. That's a little bit, you know, that's a stretch, but it's still also good. Wild Charge is a nice tech, you know. I've seen that in a couple of tours. Really good against Urshifu, right? So imagine that. But really just depends on what you want in terms of this slot. But it's a really good Pokemon, very offensive in terms of how you can run it, and the bulk is really nice. The Terra, I feel like the two best Terras are Grass, of course, you know, to resist the water damage and make the ground type attacks not very effective, or Terra Water, which will more or less do the same thing. You resist the Urshifu Surging Strikes, and the ground type attacks become neutral damage. So in that sense, you can do that. I feel like those are the two best options in terms of what you want to run on this Arcanine, right? But from here, in terms of how you want to round out the rest of the squad, you can always look at tournament results and to see how others have been finding success, and then just to see what kind of variants people are using with the Arcanine and what's the rest of your team looking like. And then from there, you know, you can just round out the rest of the team, right? But I'm going to help you with that. I've done the dirty work for you, so I'm going to show you a bunch of different teams that have utilized Hisuian Arcanine relatively well and have built around this Chien-Pao core at the same time. All right, so let's take a look at some of those teams. Okay, so let's look at this tour over here. So this is the Trainer School Regulation D tour. It just happened recently, and the first place winner also had a Hisuian Arcanine with the Chien-Pao here. And there's another one down here, still within the top 16 from Mr. Bobby. 4 and 2 score, you know, another Hisuian variant, you know, with a completely different team. But let's look at the first place team first. So basically, here's the Chien-Pao stuff. Of course, you're gonna have Dragonite, Urshifu, makes sense. To go along with the Chien-Pao, and then the Hisuian Arcanine is a Goggles variant with Protect, also very, very good. But again, you still see the mainstay 3 moves, right? Flare Blitz, Rock Slide, and Extreme Speed. And then you just have Amoonguss, you know, again, for your Trick Room matchup. Also, you know, good redirection support, can heal your team. And then Goldango, you know, with Nasty Plot. So, you know, Goldango Amoonguss is always a good lead into some different games. But overall, you know, a very standard aggressive team. No Tornadus Tailwind here, you know, but that's okay, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 Pokemon with priority moves, okay, and then you have the defensive backbone with the Amoonguss, right? So that's one Garcia's team. And then over here, from Bobby, you have the Moltres with Grimmsnarl here, along with Fluttermane. You know, again, this one is more defensive, and there's the Amoonguss Hisuian Arcanine variant again. So this one has Will-O-Wisp, but still with the Goggles, Terra Water. And Gastrodon is a very interesting pick. I want to do another video on Gastrodon because this is starting to pick up, and for good reason, right? Just again, imagine, you know, Urshifu running around, and just overall a really, really good pick at the moment. And again, another video on this to follow, but this is another way to use it on a more defensive, bulky team. Really, really good here. Okay, then if we look at another tour here, the Terra Square tournament, right? This one was the champion team here. Another Grimmsnarl variant, right? Along with Gastrodon. So Arcanine, Gastrodon, Grimmsnarl is the common mainstay here. Then you have Cresselia, of course, you know, just to add the healing aspect of the team. Okay, this one has Terra Blast, Terra Fairy, which is actually really, really nice. This will allow you to counter the Urshifu stuff, of course. And then Fairy is just a really, really good typing overall. And then you have basically Fake Out Pressure here. Oh no, this is a Swords Dance variant. All right, so no Fake Out. Okay, Swords Dance behind screens is actually really, really cool. And then the Roaring Moon here, which, you know, typically you don't see that often yet in Regulation D, but it still can work as long as people are willing to explore it. I feel like it's still early, but people are going to start using it eventually. I feel like, you know, it's still a very, very good mod, especially with Booster Energy. But this is another way to use it. Okay, then if we go here, and another Regulation D tournament, this one had a cash prize, $100. And again, another first place team with PokeSun over here. And then here's another one down here within top 8 from Ray, you know, with another Hisuian Arcanine variant. Is there another one here that we can show that has a good result? Oh, another one right here. So Hisuian Arcanine doing relatively well. But let's look at this first place team. So you still see Chien-Pao and Urshifu Rapid Strike. There's the Amoonguss Goldango core that we saw in the previous team. But this one has Thundurus instead of something like a Dragonite or something like a Fluttermane or even the Tornadus. So another Pokemon here with Prankster, you know, Thunder Wave, Speed Control, Taunt. I feel like Taunt is really, really important in this format just because of like Goodras and Amoonguss trying to set up. And then Eerie Impulse to neuter special attackers. This one has Bulldoze with Extreme Speed. This is my favorite kind of Hisuian Arcanine, which is what we're going to build in the video, you know, towards after the recap of these tours. But again, you know, very, very similar idea to the first team. Okay, so really, really nice. Then if we go here, this one is slapped on with Hisuian Goodra. This one is another Assault Vest set. Again, another Bulldoze Arcanine, which I really like a lot for speed control. And then, just again with Urshifu and Amoonguss here. No Chien-Pao here, right? This is a Goodra. This is a Goodra squad, and this is a Swords Dance Ursula. Okay. So cool squad there. Then if we go down to that team with the, within the top 32, this is 20th place. Here's the Gastrodon again. Here's Roaring Moon, and here's Chien-Pao. So again, similar Pokemon being used. Here's the Rillaboom, all right? But again, you get a Fire, Water, Grass core, and then you do have access to a Dragon Fairy type here. But again, this one is a Banded Arcanine, with more damage. So Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, Rock Slide, still the same 3 moves, but now you add Close Combat, which is really good against a lot of different options, right? Because Fighting Move is always good in, a Paradox format where things are like weak to Fighting Moves. So this is an aggressive Arcanine, especially with Chien-Pao here, and it's going to hurt. So yeah, if we move on forward, this is Resu's team. This is from the Wide League tournament, and I believe this is also another top cut team. You're right, 7-2, makes a lot of sense. Here again, Roaring Moon. Actually more or less the same team. I think, is this the same team as this one? I think it is, right? Is it Specs? Yep, it is. Yeah, so this is pretty much the same idea. Rocky Helmet Gastrodon. Or actually, this is Leftovers Gastrodon. So similar squad, just I think different sets here. But is it Roaring Moon, Chien-Pao, Floodmane? I believe it is Roaring Moon, Chien-Pao, and Floodmane. Yep, it is. So similar ideas, okay, but still Hisuian Arcanine still has a choice band here, right? And again, a Gastrodon, still a very good pickup right now. Okay, this one, the Tri-Attack Freeze Battles, there's another variant here at 4-1 from Andres. So if you look at this one, again, Dragonite, Chien-Pao, Fluttermane, Urshifu, a very, the top 4 Pokemon, slap on an Arcanine. Then here's a Rillaboom, right? So, fake out pressure with drum beating, a little bit of speed control here. And then this one is just a Wide Lens Protect. Okay, that's because there's Head Smash here. All right, so very interesting concept there. I feel like you just want to intimidate, man. Don't use Wide Lens. Like, that's my take. Don't use Wide Lens. Just be confident in your moves and you should be okay. Then over here, this one, again, another Regulation D tournament. This one's 4-3, but the one thing that I did like here was, again, not only is it Assault Vest, but again, Wild Charge, but Thundurus, Chien-Pao, Dragonite, Amoonguss, Fluttermane. Again, very standard core here. Sunny Day was the thing that I wanted to spotlight here. This is another idea that you can explore with the Hisuian Arcanine, because like if you're gonna run Arcanine and Fluttermane here, right, and then you have a prankster Pokemon like either Tornadus or Thundurus, you can use Sunny Day and that'll make this Arcanine do more damage. It'll enable booster energy on your Fluttermane, right? Not booster energy, but the photosynthesis. But then also what it does is it weakens the water type attacks against the Arcanine. So you can do it that way, right? So that's why I wanted to showcase this squad in particular. Like, I know the result isn't like, groundbreaking, but it's still positive, and I did like this idea with Sunny Day. I think this is just another way to explore it with Arcanine and Fluttermane if you go that route. Then we'll take a look at a couple. Oh no, this is Andre's team. Then this is Close Legends Arcanine team, right? So actually we actually looked at this already. This is the Sunny Day one, which is the thing that we just showed. That's why I put this here. Yeah, I gotta take out Andre's team over here. So Outrage, Extreme Speed, Aerial Ace, Aqua Jet on the Dragonite makes a lot of sense. The Ursaluna is pretty cool here with a bulk up set, which I think is a good way to run it. Just to rely on your defensive bulk, and your attack damage is gonna hit for a lot of damage. You can see that it's max attack Arcanine on this one with a little bit of speed investment. Makes a lot of sense, of course. And then at the same time, again, like this is a very bulky Thundurus that's just meant to, stay on the field and, use its support moves, okay? But yeah, lots of different ideas, okay? So hopefully I was able to, put things in perspective on the best way to really use it at the moment. You can go the faster route with like Tornadus, Chien-Pao. You can go this way. With Sunny Day, you can do the Moltres stuff with Grimmsnarl. I feel like that's another one. Gastrodon is a great pick with the Arcanine, right? Because you're really weak to Urshifu, but Gastrodon is a great way to support against it. And then Gastrodon being weak to grass types Arcanine can really help support the Gastrodon overall in general too. So, you know, just really depends on what you want to use with the Arcanine, but hopefully, you know, these ideas really put things into perspective for you, right? So now let's go back here and let's build around this Arcanine Chien-Pao duo. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll basically, you know, stay true to the formula in terms of what has worked for those teams. So I really like Tornadus, okay, and I also like Urshifu, and I like Dragonite, okay? And the whole idea now is by having two flying types like Tornadus and Dragonite, I can go Assault Vest and I can go Bulldoze here. So a little bit of a speed control option on the Arcanine, which is actually really, really nice. You know, just, it's good into the mirror matchups, right? So imagine like another Chien-Pao and Urshifu, and then again, you can just click Bulldoze and now your options are faster, right? So you have a few options. You can, and then the last slide here, I have Flutter Mane. Okay, and this will be a sub Flutter Mane, just another way to help us deal with the Trick Room stuff. You could put on Among Us on teams like this. Again, we showed you some of those cores, but I just like sub Flutter Mane to be able to stall out those Trick Room turns. And then again, you just have like a bunch of priority moves here that you don't really care about Trick Room so much, just as long as you get rid of the terrain with the Ice Spinner shenanigans. But in terms of this, again, because we have Arcanine and Flutter Mane, you have the option to use Sunny Day on this Tornadus if you go that route. Okay, it is an option. I don't think I'm going to do that here, but it is an option and it makes sense. I'd rather go, you know, just simply like Taunt and just Protect here, and then you can just do like Tailwind and then Bleak Windstorm, right? I think this is also fine. And if you want to go like Icy Wind here, sure, but I think Protect is just really good on Tornadus, especially when, you know, teams right now, they don't really, some of these Tornadus, they don't really use Protect. They go with like Covert Cloak, and then from here, they just go like Terra Ghost, of course, but they'll forgo this Protect and go for like Rain Dance, for example. You don't need Rain Dance when you have an Arcanine on your team, right? So go figure from there. Then from here, let's just build the rest of the squad. So like Chien-Pao, this is going to be your Sashmon, of course. It's going to have Ice Spinner. It's going to have Sacred Sword, you know, ignores the Goodra defense boost. If you run into it, Sucker Punch is really good, and of course Protect. Now, some Chien-Paos are opting for something like Ice Shard, of course. Really, really good against, you know, Dragonites, Landorus's, other Genies. It's a great tech choice, but I still like Sucker Punch. I feel like a Dark move is always really, really good here. Does this get Crunch by any chance? I just want to see. Oh, it does get Crunch. That's actually really good if it does get Crunch. That's another option you can have on this Arcanine, but yeah. All right, so we've got these two. Then over here, the Urshifu, Mystic Water, of course. So this will be a bulky Urshifu, which will show you the spreads in a second. But Close Combat, Aqua Jet, along with Surging Strikes is really good. Then the Dragonite, this will be the Choice Band Pokemon of choice. It'll have, you know, Extreme Speed, you know, of course, right? Especially with like, you know, Chien-Pao shenanigans. Then Stomping Tantrum, good ground coverage is important. You know, just for like, you know, the Heatrans that don't Terra, Goodras also that don't Terra. Stomping Tantrum is really good there. Iron Hands that runs around, also something that you want to click Stomping Tantrum against. Chi-Yu too, right? So ground coverage is always very much appreciated. Iron Head to snipe other fairies like Flutter Mane, as well as the bulky Terra Fairy Cresselias. I think that's also important to have. And then Aerial Ace, just your stab flying move if you ever go for it. And we'll just go like Terra Normal here for the E-Speed shenanigans. Flutter Mane here. Again, this is a booster energy set with like Shadow Ball and Moonblast, right? This is very, very standard. Consistent in terms of what we have you know, for a very standard hyper offensive team that normally you might see something like Heatran here, but again, Arcanine, you know, definitely can fill the role here just fine. But in terms of all these other options, the Urshifu, you can definitely go Mystic Water, Terra Water for a little bit more damage. I think it makes a lot of sense. I've been going Terra Grass, you know, just to get around the Amoonguss stuff. Okay, but it's really up to you how you want to use the Urshifu. But I feel like both Terras are good. We already said Ghost here. This one, I also like Ghost as well. And then the Arcanine, of course. You have the option for the Terra Water or the Terra Grass. I leave it up to you. But all in all, I feel like you can't go wrong with either Terra. It's just a personal preference kind of thing. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go back here to the Arcanine and we'll start creating EV spreads for all these options. Okay, so before I like settle on the EV spread that we're gonna do for Arcanine, just to show you like some other options in terms of a spread you can do if you want to outspeed the Iron Bundle, with the booster energy. The magic number is 138, right? So if you want to go to 138, then you just need about 220 investment here. This is it. Okay, this will outspeed the bundle, because 206 divided by 1.5 will give you that number to outspeed it. And then from there, you can still go adamant, so this way you still deal some damage. You can put it to 36, and then from here, you can just do something like this where, you're hitting the bump, but you're putting pretty much almost all in your HP. And then the special defense, we just made it an even number. So this way we optimize the assault vest, because with the assault vest, when you multiply it by 1.5, if it's an odd number, it'll give you a decimal, which makes it round down. You don't want your defenses to round down. So we always put it to an even number. So this way we get the best bang for our buck in our bulk. And then just 1 point in defense, of course. So you could go this route, right? If you want to be like a pretty fast Arcanine that can still deal some damage. You can drop this a little bit. You can go to about, something like this, 84. 120 is another, VGC trademark speed tier number, because after a +1, you're able to outspeed Landorus, not Landorus, I'm sorry, the Genies, because they, they cap at 179. That's something else you can consider. Or you can just try to go something like this, about 118. This is also another good one. This will help you outspeed some of these other Dragonites, for example. So this way you can get off like a key rock move, or your extreme speed is faster. So you can also do that. And then from here, just, maybe go to the second bump here and then just dump this into like, pretty much either all in HP and just summon defense like this, right? You can go this route, or you can just pretty much say, I'm just going to go a little bit of speed and just some bulk, and I don't need to, and I'm going to go a little bit more in the attack stat, right? Which is actually what I was doing. So I went to about 121, just to speed creep the 120s. I still kept the special defense to an even number. And then from here, I went to 196. So which is our, our third EV bump in our attack stat. And then I dumped the rest into bulk like this. And 212 for defense. This will at least allow you to survive an Aqua Jet Urshifu. So that's important in that, if you don't Terra, of course. But again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, feel free to comment in the video description below. If you're trying to play competitive Pokemon and you don't know what EV bumps are, ask away and I will respond to you and I will answer you. I feel like every single video that I ask this, somebody always asks, what are EV bumps? But they've been around since, red and blue days, but nobody ever seems to know what they are because there's nothing in the game to tell you about them, right? But that's why we have a YouTube channel. So this way we can educate the masses. All right, but anyway, then from here, the Chien-Pao, it's a Sash Pokemon. Nothing else you really need to do about it. And just go with a simple 252 spread. Very standard here. The Tornadus, we'll use the same spread that we've been putting in the rentals, where we're going to go timid, but we're only going to cap it at 168. This will allow you to outspeed base 100s like a Chi-Yu, right? Like a Zapdos. They're all capping at 167, so let's outspeed them. Then from here, just pretty much just go for the bulk in defense, right? And this will allow you to survive the Dragonite E-Speed, Choice Band, Adamant 252 without Chien-Pao on the field. So I always stress that enough. Some people have said, well, you're cool, I died, what the heck? And I said, was there Chien-Pao? Well, yeah. So you didn't listen, you didn't watch the video. I said without the Chien-Pao on the field, okay? That's why you have Terra Ghost here, guys, okay? And then we just dump the rest in special attack like this. The Urshifu, Adamant 156 is the way if you're trying to do it like this. So this way you're doing a little bit more damage. You just need 44 and 4 to survive that Dragonite E-Speed. So that's always really, really nice. And then we just go to about 180 investment here. This will get it to 140. Really, really good. As far as like the Regieleki shenanigans are concerned, yes. And then just dump the rest into special defense like this. A very, very bulky Adamant Urshifu spread. Also meant to do, quite considerable damage, right? Adamant 156, 187 stat. That's pretty good. All right, then the Dragonite over here. So I just put like Adamant, max attack, of course. And then I broke my optimization rule just because I wanted to make it a little bit faster. And I went to 114 as opposed to like 112s or 113s, just to outspeed like some other Dragonites. But pretty much I just did this, okay? And, it's just a hard-hitting Dragonite. Nothing else really needs to be said. The Fluttermane, I went to Modest Nature, of course. I went to 204. because again, 180 will outspeed the Genie, so I just went to 181 for speed creeping. I went to the second EV bump in the Modest Nature, which is 116. You know, again, after the first bump, which is 36, it's every 80 EVs that you'll see the next bump in your special attacking stat. So I went over here, and then from here, again, I just want to be able to optimize substitutes in terms of I can click 4 of them, and then I also want to survive the Chien-Pao Sucker Punch, and as well as Ice Spinner, right? I always feel like you want defensive bulk on your Fluttermane. For that reason, you can't just let yourself die to Sucker Punch Chien-Pao. You always want to survive it. So, you know, it's always optimal to invest in HP and defense for your Fluttermane, you know. And there's more than one way to do it. This is just one example, right? You can do other, you know, EV spreads to survive that. I've seen some drop their attack to the first bump like this, and then just put more in HP and defense, make it a little bit faster even, but it really just depends on what you want to do with your spread on the Fluttermane. I'm just showing you one example, but this is pretty much it in terms of what I want from the Fluttermane, all right? And this is what the pace looks like. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do like one quick test game just to see how the Arcanine works, if we can even bring it, and then we'll get you guys out of here, you know, just some final thoughts, all right? So let's take a look. Okay, so this guy has some similar ideas with Tornadus, Fluttermane, and Urshifu, but then there is Lilycole, of course, and then there is what is this thing? The Appletoe. I don't know why some people like this Pokemon. I've seen it, and I just can't understand why people are using. Why not just put Dragonite here? Like, okay, that's just my thing. Why not just put Dragonite here? But other than that, his other 5 options, I kind of get it. But overall, I think we have the edge. Arcanine looks really good here against a lot of his options, especially since he's going to give me Drought if he does bring it. So, you know, from there, it's just a matter of cleaning up with my other options. But Arcanine looks great as a lead here. So it's Tornadus and Fluttermane. Okay, that's fine. We have Chien-Pao and Arcanine. So, couple of ideas. I think of Sucker Punching this Fluttermane, and I think Rock Slide is very, very good. Now, I do expect this Fluttermane to have some defensive bulk to survive the Sucker Punch, right? Which is why I want to click Rock Slide to be able to clean it up and also potentially KO this Thundurus, depending on what his spread is. He might even be forced to Terra to be able to at least survive it. So that's my thought process, but like Sucker Punch, Rock Slide is always safe. There's no punishment here. If he clicks Protect Fluttermane, that's cool. I get free Rock Slide damage on this thing, and you know, I don't take any damage, or I get limited damage, right? So that's exactly what I want to do. All right, so here's the Sucker Punch. There is the Live, so I note that this Fluttermane has some defensive bulk. All right, there's the Tailwind, that's fine. Dazzling Gleam, this is why Chien-Pao Sash is really good. Arcanine doesn't take much damage at all, and Rock Slide is really, really good. He does live, okay? And I did check the calc on that. You know, if they have the right defensive investment, they can live this. So we know that he has some defensive bulk there. And, you know, when you're playing best of 3, if you see these options live, you know they have defensive bulk, right? Because that should pretty much KO, right? We have a Chien-Pao, we have an Arcanine. I know we're not max, but we're pretty close to max, right? We're Adamant Nature. So I know that these options are defensively bulky. But we got rid of the Fluttermane, which is great. There's the Urshifu. And again, Urshifu can kind of pin my Chien-Pao slot here, but I have Dragonite in the back, so, you know, he can feel free to Aqua Jet or punch that if he wants, but I'm going to Terra the Arcanine just in case he decides to go for it, and I'm just going to just pretty much get rid of this thing. So this one he's only down to 2 options because I don't want him to do any shenanigans later with the Tornadus. So Extreme Speed, good pickup there with the Arcanine. And he goes for Swords Dance on the Urshifu. All right, I have no idea why he did that. I guess maybe anticipated Protect, but you know, I feel like you just want to attack there. All right, and there's the Lilligant. I don't quite understand this, but this is pretty much almost over. I have Fluttermane in the back, and I still have Chien-Pao there, so I have pressure in terms of what I want to do. He goes Terra Steel Urshifu, so here's the Extreme Speed. Very nice. There's the Terra Blast. It doesn't even kill. He misses the Sleep Powder, so he gets punished there, and we just pick up the, you know, the Hisuian Lilligant with just a straight up Flare Blitz. I feel like even if he gets that off, we're still fine because we've chipped this Urshifu quite a bit. He can click Close Combat and kill, but I feel like I just swap in Chien-Pao and I kill his Hisuian Lilligant and it's over, right? Because then the Fluttermane can just beat this with, you know, Shadow Ball and so on and so forth, right? But anyway, after that he just clicks Forfeit and that's pretty much it. So Arcanine did relatively well against what he had. You know, The physical damage that you have from the Arcanine is great against Fluttermane. It hits Dragonite, Tornadus, and another Champa for super effective damage. Terra Water really makes things interesting for the Urshifu, as well as Terra Grass for that matter, because you can also just pretty much KO him after that, especially since you went Terra Steel. Alright, but again, we'll go back into the pace and let's just get you guys out of here with some final thoughts. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it. This is our Hisuian Arcanine variant. We'll put this paste in the video description, of course, and this was, again, requested by a tier 3 sub viewer, so they've been doing relatively well with it. And again, it's just all about surrounding it with consistent options, guys. You know, especially since the format is still new, you know, this is pretty much the way to go about it. So if you are interested in the same thing, if you are trying to build a team and you need some help and you're not sure which direction to go with a certain Pokemon that you're trying to build around, sign up on the channel. You know, join with the tier 3 sub. And the way you join is if you look in the video description below, there is a link to join the channel, as well as the comment section. There is a pinned comment from me with the same link. You're able to click that and sign up with the tier 3 sub. And every single video also has a join now button where you can join the channel with the tier 3 membership. And then from there, you can join the Discord and then message me on Discord. And then we can coordinate a time to meet and get you that squad that you need for, you know, whether it's ladder play, some online tournaments, whatever it is you needed, we can do it for you, but you got to sign up first. All right, but that'll be it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.